What up, what up, what up, my YouTube family, my Nintendo family, everybody that's been with me since day one. Today I'm going to talk about The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild from my point of view, how I would rate it, and what I thought of the game, trying to become as much spoiler free as possible in case you haven't picked up that game. Brought to you by, the one and only Phoenix 1987-20. I'm going to be talking about The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, but I'm not going to be talking about the DLCs. I'm going to be talking about the DLCs in another video down the road, but just mostly on this game. So if you like my videos, hit that like button, share that, subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit that notification, and leave a comment below. So The Legend of Zelda for me was probably one of the best told tales in the whole Legend of Zelda series. The writers that wrote this story, I swear they must have put their heart and soul into it to make sure they got the best story out of the entire Zelda series. Now, people will probably would argue that point, saying that Ocarina or Wind Waker or Twilight or Skyward Sword. I'm saying this is the best one they did. Best story. You felt the passion, you felt the love between your characters. You're trying to resurrect what Zelda did a long time ago, and trying to build up your memories to fight the battle that you lost 100 years ago. So for me, the story, it was really good. I really enjoyed the story. We're gonna move on to the next one. We're gonna talk about the graphics. The graphics for me were probably state of the art for the type of game the Zelda franchise is. The Zelda franchise is not made to be a realistic graphical game. It's supposed to be like animated, animated drawings that were put together so well done to get the details that they do. Because if you want to keep the fantasy in your head about these guys, the way they look, as soon as they put realistic as copying like faces of other people, then you may lose a lot of your story or a lot of your fans, because Legend of Zelda is a fantasy game. It's not meant to be realistic. The graphics that you get that they do is meant to show their art style from their origin, from their country. It's not made to see every hair rise up on their arm, see the sweat run down their face. It's made to be fun and beautiful. So I thought the graphics for the game was really, really awesome for how they did it. And I think that if you're gonna compare like Legend of Zelda to Call of Duty, that's a very, very unfair comparison, because Call of Duty is meant to look like a human running across the screen, while Zelda is meant to look like the character running across the screen. The design of the characters show the flaws within the character on the screen. So for me, the graphics were just amazing. I was stunned by the graphics and the cutscenes they used for that story. Next on, we're going to talk about the music they used for the game. For me, I really, really enjoyed the whole entire soundtrack of this game. How they were able to use older songs and remake them or remix them along with a whole brand new bunch of Zelda music. Now, hopefully one day, for me, that the next Zelda game that comes out on the mainline series, that it's all 100% new music, no redoing older. Because if you continue redoing older music, you're gonna eventually wear that music right out. As much as all fans really love how that music always flows, the new music that they add to Zelda works just the same. It's beautiful, and when you just listen to that music, really listen, as you hear the violins and the cellos and the harps going, it makes you want to sway back and forth in enjoyment, to catch your attention, to change the atmosphere and the environment. That music does that. So for me, the music was really, really, really good for me. Gameplay for this game, I thought the gameplay was really interesting. How you had to use your controllers in different ways. How they brought in new features like shield surfing, paragliding, climbing up mountains. Where in the past Zelda games, you couldn't climb up a mountain. You could climb up a mountain if there was that vine there. But climbing up mountain, climbing up trees, climbing up things you never got to do was a very interesting thing, and how you had to use your stamina, and how the environment played a huge part in this game. If you're climbing on a mountain when it rained, you would slide, or if you're running through a field and you had a metal object on you and it was a lightning storm, you would get hit. And that included the same as the enemies. If they had a metal item on them, they would have got hit too. So the realistic environment of the game, how the game changed from day to night, and changed from temperature, from your hot to cold, to your rain, sunny, your cloudy, your foggy, your snow, how the wind blew across, how the grass moved back and forth and swayed. It was really, really good, and we always know when The Legend of Zelda has new features in it, something's coming out of it. And I don't think anybody noticed or missed any of the old features coming out of it. And I thought the new features was just perfect, and hopefully when the next game comes out, they can maximize that and run that smoothly, especially since we know there's Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, or whatever it's going to be called, coming out. We hope that they improve that to make it the best of the best they can, and we know they're going to try their hardest to outdo what they had. And I know Ocarina of Time is a really high standard for them, and they've been chasing that dragon for a really long time. One day they will be catching that dragon, but hopefully it's going to be sooner than later. Now, my only thing I didn't really care about the Breath of the Wild game was I enjoyed the shines, but I found some shines very simple, very easy, or really nothing to do. I missed the challenge of the dungeons. Having your dungeons in there, having to fight through your dungeon. And I know they wanted to make this open world game where you can do whatever you want, bringing it back to the roots of the original Zelda game for the NES. But at the same time, the original NES Zelda had dungeons. We didn't have these shines or anything like that. We had dungeons. And that I really missed them. And the lack of enemies. Like, sometimes you go 5-10 minutes without seeing an enemy, and if you're waiting for enemies to respawn, you had to wait for the blood moon, and sometimes the blood moon took forever to come around, in my opinion. So the lack of enemies, the lack of dungeons, it really was like, I'm not gonna lie, it was like my downfall of the game. Only thing I really hated, I thought the game needed a lot more enemies into it, and dungeons. These shines were too short. Even the hardest ones were too short to do. So bring back the dungeons, Nintendo. Bring them back. Besides that, there wasn't really much to complain about. And like I said, overall, I really enjoyed this game. This is my review, my opinion of what I thought about the game. And I would have to give this game an 8.7 out of 10. Just because of the little bit of snags that this game did have. But besides that, it's a beautiful game. So if you haven't got this game, or haven't played this game, or haven't tried out this game, I recommend you trying it out, because if you're an RPG or a Zelda fan, you'll really enjoy this game, in my opinion. I think you will enjoy this game lots. And until next time, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification, and leave a comment below. This is my review of Breath of the Wild, brought to you by this guy, Phoenix 1987. Until next time, peace.